a former atheist. Here's 60 seconds on why to believe in God. Science.
A former atheist who now believes in God gonna give his elevator speech? I'm in. But you all know what this means. If you came here looking for the stupid, you're in the right place. Hi, my name is Scarlett, and I'm an atheist and skeptic, and I'm back looking at TikTokers who just can't be atheists, oh no, and they've got good reasons. I mean, who can argue with a former atheist? Now, I don't want to go all no true Scotsman like he was no real atheist, but at the very least, we'll see he wasn't a skeptic. But I've seen lots of stories about Christians who used to be atheists, and I usually come away with the idea that it is someone whose family just didn't go to church but was nominally Christian. And the arguments they give for why they went all in on Christianity and gave up on whatever modicum of atheism they had are just not good. Not good at all. I've been choosing random TikToks lately, not apologist, but I think we can see the effects of apologetics in these ordinary people. It's all the same recipe, just their own little flavoring. What's the recipe? A. Misunderstand Big Bang cosmology. I mean, that's the big one, no pun intended. Misunderstand science in general. I mean, evolution, origin of life, all of that. Don't even look into it. Misunderstand how we operate as moral beings. Then declare theism solves everything, and in these cases it's Christianity. How can atheism withstand this onslaught? So enough blibbity blab, let's see what our former atheist turned Christian has for us in his elevator speech.
God. Science says, give us one free miracle and we'll explain the rest. In an instant, everything was created out of nothing. But the laws of science say that's impossible. So there's more to our existence than we can understand.
Why the circus music in the background? Is it to make us really understand how loopy atheists are? Probably also the reason to use this stock image of a lab researcher who's sort of a cross between Doc from Back to the Future and Einstein with his tongue out. But anywho, what he says is wrong. That science needs a miracle, which like I said in my last look at stupid TikTok, is wrong. He's referring to the Big Bang and saying it's the creation of everything out of nothing, which it isn't. The Big Bang was an expansion event, not a creation event. There are aspects to Big Bang cosmology that we don't have figure out right now, but no one who studies it posits a God. Look, Christians, just because we don't have all the answers for something doesn't make it a miracle. As for the phrase, there's more to our existence than we can understand, what does that even mean? Probably there's a lot more to everything than this guy can understand. Now, Scarlett, don't be mean. Hear the the man out.
The most basic definition of God would be everything beyond what human beings are able to understand. By that definition, there's no question that God exists, but you'll never have proof. Faith.
God is everything beyond what human beings are able to understand? I've heard of defining God into existence, but this takes the cake. You know, I agree we don't understand everything, but this doesn't correspond at all to the God the Bible portrays. I also don't know why we need to slap the label of God to a body of knowledge that escapes us at the current moment. Does this mean that as we learn more, God bleeds out? Or is it more like a helium balloon with a leak, and then it gets caught in a tree? So many questions, and I don't know why that God would need to be worshipped, much less all the other stuff that Bible God demands.
Faith means belief without proof. Faith in yourself is essential if you want to live to your fullest potential. And faith is all or nothing. You got it or you don't. For decades, I had no faith. Then, one day, I made the choice to believe that we're all connected in a way we can never fully understand. And that connection is God. Since then...
Oh, so God is a connection now? More defining this being into existence, why not? You're already playing fast and loose with language when you talk about faith. Faith has many meanings. Faith in God is, as he says, belief without proof or even without good evidence. But faith in yourself is not the same, like I hope you know you exist. To believe in yourself, to be optimistic about your abilities, to have hope in the future is not the same kind of thing at all. And a lot of people do elide these meanings all the time, but we've got to be careful. Words have different meanings and they correspond to different concepts. And I'm kind of curious why this guy decided one day to have faith. That's the actual story that interests me. Why did you go from, well, whatever atheism meant to you to choosing faith? The rest of this is just fluff. I have never felt a need to have faith in all these decades of me being an atheist. But anyway, let's finish this out.
Since that day, my life has been so much better, and all it took was the choice to have faith. So here's the question for you. If choosing to have faith makes your life better, why would you not make that choice?
Okay. Just how is your life better? And what a selfish reason to start believing in God. I wonder if this is what medieval serfs thought too. I sincerely do not see how faith makes people's lives better. I have family and friends of various religious beliefs, and I see them living more or less the same kind of life as me. I see them have good times and bad times, successes and failures, health issues, also anxiety and depression, as well as, good healthy lives. This claim that life is just better as a theist is wrong. Okay, moving on to another person who just can't be an atheist, has some questions.
Here is why I'm not atheist. There are some views of atheism that it's just so hard for me to comprehend. Starting off with the Big Bang. They believe that the Big Bang created everything.
Is there something in the communion wine at Christian services where everyone feels compelled to speak incorrectly about the Big Bang? Seriously, here's some homework for you Christians. Go watch Sean Carroll. Just one video, please. And maybe go read the Big Bang Wiki. It's not bad. I want to stress here that Big Bang cosmology isn't an atheist belief. It is a scientific theory which you can accept no matter what theistic doctrine makes your heart go pitter-patter. It's funny, though, that the Big Bang was first proposed by a Catholic priest, and some Christians bang on about how that makes it extra Jesus-y. While there are other Christians who say there's no way you can have Jesus and the expansion. Of course, they think it's a creation event. For the jiggity gazillionth time, the only thing atheists say is they don't believe in God. That's how you get dumbass former atheists who can just have faith one day, and ones who think there's a higher energy that resonates through crystals, or more science-minded ones.
They believe that nothing exploded. They believe nothing exploded and created all things.
Fuck those mid-2010s memes about atheism. It wrecked everyone's head.
That adds some confusion to me. I can't comprehend that. Newton's law, it says that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Wouldn't that go against atheism?
Is this dude for real? Is he a Poe? He says the dumbest misunderstanding of the Big Bang. He reads one of Newton's laws and he says, haha, dumb atheists. Of course this doesn't make sense to you. You haven't done the least bit of study. You've probably listened to apologists talk about it. In addition to Sean Carroll, I'm assigning you some Brian Cox and Neil deGrasse Tyson. I don't even trust you with the wiki page.
My next point. First, let me preface, I believe atheists have morals. Okay, I know they do. I know.
Aw, so nice of you. But I feel a butt coming on.
Because they're made in the image of God.
So even he doesn't believe in himself?
And I believe in God as the ultimate authority, and that is why I believe that there is objective morals. But in atheism, without God, there are no objective morals.
I submit to you that in your version of Christianity, there are no objective morals. Christians do not agree on what God wants. Why is that? Christians believe whatever they want, and then they say that's what God wants too.
If you think about it, Hitler, he thought what he was doing was good, when we all know in our hearts that it was evil. But why is that? If there is no God, then there is no reason for objective morals to be real, right?
I am so tired of talking about Hitler. He comes up all the time. And frankly, do we need objective morals to determine that genocide and mass murder are wrong? The thing is, in Bible morality, what God says is correct, it's right. So the slaughter of various people, like the Canaanites, was A-OK. And I see a lot of Christians defending the actions of Israel in Gaza right now. Can you see what's going on? I guess the hang-up is, how can we know if something is right? If there's no powerful being guiding us, what if we're wrong? And humans are often wrong. And that includes Christians and their pretend objective morality. We start with values and goals for morality, and then we have discussions about what actions serve those and what go against it.
But we all have a conviction with murder, with stealing, with hurting other people. We know that those are wrong, but in atheism, you can't find a reason as to why we feel this way for others, as to why morality exists.
Seriously, have you bothered to talk to an atheist? At this point, there is just a willed ignorance because the roots of morality have been studied, how we evolved to have empathy, well, most humans, there are sociopaths. How having rules that promote well-being and discourage things like harming others is in our species' interest. There's simply an evolutionary benefit to cooperating, and socialization helps to train us to be altruistic, and we feel good about doing good. I don't want people taking my stuff and harming me or my loved ones, so I want a society that embraces that. For an atheist, my dude, this is our one life, and we want it to be as good as it can be. Cooperation and pleasantries go a long way to accomplishing that.
My next point is all we know is creation, right?
What? No, what are you talking about?
If you look around, you see a building, you know there's a builder. If you see a painting, you know there's a painter. If you see a book, you know there's a writer. Can you imagine a book over millions or billions of years putting all these letters together to create a story, to create a book?
Did you get lost in your thing needs a thinger speech? Is the world a book to you? This is such a tired talking point. Our universe isn't a creation. That is a label religious people applied to beg the question. Everything in our universe formed from what was already there, and we can see that in our world, like rocks and clouds form from stuff that's already there. The physical environment and natural laws cause stuff to change their composition, and the atoms change into something different. And remember, the Big Bang isn't even a creation event. Stuff just formed.
Is that something you would believe? Well, without God, the belief of evolution is that all of this, everything that came to be is from an explosion that created everything.
These people are so confused. Seriously, those old memes are just like worms in people's brains. And this guy barely has a grasp on the wrongness.
So if you're atheist and you made it to this point in the video, comment down below anything I said wrong about your worldview. I'm open to having conversations about what you believe. I'm also curious why you're an atheist. So let me know in the comments, and I'm open to reading them and maybe making video responses, or if you're not comfortable with that, we can have conversations privately. Let me know. Thanks for watching, guys.
It's a shame, really. He seems like a nice guy. Sincere, sweet. But just where do you start to comment on what he said was wrong? Like every word was wrong. Like those are words. But they're all wrong. But at least he's done, and let's go on to our last theist who just can't be an atheist.
I almost became an atheist. When I was in high school, I got really overwhelmed with school and extracurricular activities, and I got pretty depressed.
The way he says he almost became an atheist, like he almost fell down a flight of stairs, or he almost caught the norovirus. Like, would being an atheist be so bad? I find his framing interesting, though. He was in high school, which is often a time people start to rebel and question things about their parents' beliefs. But he also includes that he was overwhelmed and depressed, as if atheism is a response to bad events or situations in your life. As a teenager, I too was overwhelmed, and I dealt with lots of issues, including some periods of depression, and none of that made me question my theism. I no longer accepted the Catholic version of theism, but I still believed in a God. Let's keep going.
I started questioning my faith, because up until that point, my faith was basically just my parents' faith, because I had been raised in the church.
Oh my God, can we appreciate this t-shirt? It reads, "I am what I eat," and it has the communion wine and wafer. Is he trying to say he's Jesus? Yikes, what an ego. But anyway, okay, so he was raised in the church with his parents' faith. Got it.
In the church. So I decided that I needed to know what I believed and why I believed it, and if this Christianity thing was worth sticking through to the end.
Cool, good plan, man. I approve. Question your beliefs.
So I went on a journey of researching sciences, researching the Bible, researching other religions, getting into chat rooms and debating with atheists and Christians to see which arguments were the strongest. And I got really close to deciding just to give up and be an atheist.
I guess that's all fine. Good ideas for going about questioning your beliefs. Although, given the caliber of science arguments I see coming from Christians, I do worry about the sources for your science learning.
Yes. But thankfully, God and I hung on to each other.
What? Why? You were doing so good. What does this even mean? How did God hang on to you? Is he like a sloth?
Hung on to each other. When I'm considering a new worldview, I like to run it through a simulation of its logical extreme.
Atheism isn't a worldview or a faith or a philosophy. We've said it already. But it's just a lack of belief in God. You would need to build up a worldview from other pieces after you realize you no longer believe in God.
To ensure that it can actually be lived out consistently, because inconsistency is a sign of lies. And when I played out atheism, it was necessarily a deterministic nihilism.
What? Necessarily? I hope you have an explanation for it necessarily being a deterministic nihilism. Even though I don't think nihilism is that bad, it gets a bad rap, but it can be really freeing.
I would have to believe that I am just a bunch of accidental random atoms bouncing around in the cosmos, and that none of this matters.
So A, you are not in fact bouncing around the cosmos. I just want to settle that. At most, you're bouncing around some small subsection of our planet. I think what you mean to say is life just happens and no thinking agent pooped you into existence. And B, you can still think your own life matters. The now matters. The relationships you have, the activities you have, the way our lives play out can matter. They matter intrinsically for what they are, not because they are some deposit on an afterlife. So go back and do your own research a little better.
And believing that, truly believing that, would not only be super depressing, but pretty impossible.
LOL, make up something and then say it's impossible. I just have to say, I don't find the idea that this life is all there is all that depressing. I find it freeing.
I've never met anyone who actually lives as if they actually believe that. Everyone always applies some kind of subjective, arbitrary meaning to their life in order to convince themselves to continue living it. And everybody always applies some kind of subjective, arbitrary rules to how that life should be lived, and they judge other people for not following those rules.
Yes, as I said before, you don't have to think that your life doesn't matter. By the way, the everybody in all these utterances about the subjective dumbasser of everyone, that includes theists. Everything we do, it's always subjective. It's our version of everything.
There were also some other things that I believed existed that I couldn't explain the existence or the function of them without the existence of a powerful, intelligent source. And those things were true love, ultimate purpose, free will, objective morality, and logic. So that's why I didn't end up becoming an atheist.
So there we have it. Dude wants to think his life has meaning and that his ideas aren't arbitrary and subjective, and positing a god gives him that illusion. And he just wants to believe in a few concepts that, in his mind, only God can justify. Let's think about these. Number 1, true love. I don't know what that is. Is it some platonic notion of soulmates? Is it people who meet young and stay married their whole lives? There are people like that. I've experienced various forms of love, but I'm not sure about true love. I would need more info. Ultimate purpose. Again, there's a modifier that alters what I understand. I can give myself a purpose in life, but what does it mean to have ultimate purpose? I guess only God can give it, right? But how do you know you found it? Even Christians get divorced, change careers, fail at their endeavors, sin, and so on. Next up, free will. I don't believe in this. I think our decisions are constrained by various factors. I don't think there is some soul that can make choices unbounded. Objective morality. Another thing I don't believe in. I think we humans have a relative, subjective, imperfect morality. And I think this is the core of the issue for Christians, that our morality is imperfect, that we won't always get it right, that we have to accept our limitations and try to do better in the future. But what forces us to do better if there's no all-powerful being to punish us? Well, as I said earlier, a moral world is a better place to live in. This is the only life we have as far as we know. And people treating each other well, avoiding harm, trying to be nice even, Well, that's just simply a better place to live in. And the last thing he mentions is logic. Well, I am in despair about its existence anytime I go on TikTok. So, can we put a check on all this and say we need God? Of course not. I don't believe in true love, ultimate purpose, free will, or objective morality. And I don't need the illusion of any of that. Simple love, simple purpose, me making choices bounded as they are, and some kind of imperfect morality is just fine. And as for logic, as much as one has, it is a thing that the brain does. No God needed. So there we go. 3 more TikToks with bad science, bad ideas about morality, and a total misunderstanding of what atheism is, all in the service of believing in some version of God. But through these TikToks, I think we can see how the likes of all these apologists, the Ray Comforts and Ken Hams and Low Bar Bills, all of them have seeped into people. So they have this idea that Christians have a better explanation for scientific phenomena, and only Christians can have a basis for morality. And of course, there's the old trope of the sad, depressed, no reason to live atheist. But what really is depressing is to have to keep explaining over and over that atheism is just one thing. It's not a worldview, it's not a philosophy, it's just the lack of belief in gods. And the rest of this is frankly irrelevant. So that's what I have for you. Did anything strike you in this mess of TikToks? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there, if you haven't already, like and subscribe and do all the YouTube stuff. Make your offerings to Algorithmo, and Algorithmo in return will bless you with many, many good recommendations. And if you like what I do, you can also buy me a coffee. That link is also in the description below, and I will see you in the next one for something interesting. See you then.